Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have you on the stream again. Time with the enthusiastic tutor. And in today's tutorial, it's going to be a continuation of the course, POL 1-1, and we're going to be dissecting, all right, a lot of things about the colonial intervention or the colonial. Let me not use the word intervention. The intrusion of the colonial masters, all right, on the politics, okay, of Africa. So this happens to be the third class, all right, of my course, and promises to be an interesting one. I employ us to have a writing material set, and let's kick the ball rolling. With this being said, let's hop straight into it. So we have POL 1, 2, 1. Okay, I think the network is pretty. Let's check let me check it from my end. POL 1-1, and today we are going to be looking at the origin, all right, the origin of problem of African politics. The origin. Okay, the origin and problem. Actually, the origin and problem. The origin and problem of African. We'll be talking about the origin of African politics. That's one thing we discussed a lot in our last class. It's one thing we discussed a lot in our last class, which is the origin. Okay, we discussed that a lot in our last class, which is the origin. Okay, the origin of African politics. So today we'll be looking at, basically we'll be speaking more of the problem. We'll be speaking on more of the problem. We'll be dissecting more of what the problem, all right, is, of the problem that the intrusion. We are talking about the problem. Okay, if we do not talk about some positive things if we not talk about some positive things that the colonial rulers, the colonial masters, all right, introduced, all right, would have not struck the balance. Okay, so we're going to talk about the some positive things that were done, all right, that they used as a bait. To me, I see it as a bait. Okay, I wouldn't really say with good intentions like that, right? The intentions are, right, are attached to something, all right. There are no benefits without something to take back in return. Okay, I think it's really skipping from here. I don't know what it's like over there. All right, but nevertheless, let's quickly look at some of the benefits, the so-called benefits. Let's quickly look at some of the so-called benefits. Okay, now the colonialization or the colonialism of African politics. Some of the benefits, colonialism of African politics. All right, we have the instance of creation of states. Okay, we have the creation of states. Okay, now creation of states or nation states. Let me put it this way: creation of nation states, nation state. All right, creation of nation states. Okay, my duster is a little bit wet. Okay. Now, foreign rule created modern states, all right, with defined boundaries and capitals, all right. Creation of modern states, and believe me, these states basically, just like as I said earlier on, all right, all these benefits, so-called benefits, is as a result of what was needed to be done in order to achieve the greater goal. Are we together? It was what needed to be done in order to achieve a greater purpose. Okay, now, why do you think they have to create states with definite territories? All right, so they can put in whatsoever state the colonial masters or the colonial rulers, they can have their annexes and branches with one of their own heading these annexes, with one of their own heading these branches. All right, so with this, there is need for them to have created states, all right, annexes, regions, all right, and put their own, their representative, one of themselves, to manage it. All right, so foreign rule created modern nation states with what? With definite or with defined boundaries and capitals. All right, with defined boundaries and capitals. Okay, also we have Western education. All right, Western education. I believe it is no news to majority of us that even the so-called Western education, we have a lot of entities, a lot of groups against it. All right, the likes of Boko Haram, all right, and a lot of other Islamic groups. Why? They have their point to some extent. Okay, because when we talk about Western education, look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it. Pay a close attention, pay a close attention, pay a close attention. All right, has it done more good than harm? All right, has it done more good than harm? All right, definitely it has its own good and it also has its own negative side. All right, and the way it is, if not because of the fact that the level of understanding has increased, if not for the fact that for now, all right, understanding has gone awry. All right, you know, it's like a bondage. It's like a bondage. Okay, because growing up then in educational system, we have this kind of hypnotized belief. No, you can't believe and hypnotize. We have this kind of hypnotizing, or we were hypnotized to be to we are compelled to believe that, or we were enchanted, all right, that for you to become anything reasonable in life, you must have Western education. All right, there's a difference between Western education and education. These are two different things. Western education is a different thing entirely. All right, but let's not. That is just a quick detour. But let's not wander too far from what we are doing in the material. Okay, now Africans were introduced to Western education, which ironically equipped them with tools of resistance. All right, even though Western education came, all right, and they took advantage, all right, they took advantage of the ignorance, but ironically, this eventually equipped Africans with what? Tools of resistance. Eventually became an eye opener, all right, to stand against the wiles, the oppression of the Westerners. All right. Now, as it is well known, all right, it is a known fact that education stimulates people to want what they do not have. All right, a fact. The fact, okay, is that education stimulates people. Okay, this is a fact. Education stimulates, all right, education stimulates people to want what they do not have. Let me switch the shade of marker. What? To want what they do not have. Education. All right. Now, we have the mandate system. All right. Now, the mandate system, we're going to be talking about the mandate system. Under this mandate system, we have the League of Nations. All right. Mandate under which the former German colonies were assigned to what? To victorious European nation stipulated that they should govern as sacred trust of civilian until they could stand on their feet. All right. Now, this is simply talking about the mandate. All right, the mandate system. In a nutshell, the League of Nations, all right, has a mandate. Okay, the League of Nations have a mandate. Okay, and the mandate is to what? Get what they want by all means necessary. All right, get all what they want by all means necessary. All right, it doesn't matter how long it takes, but the mandate is get the resources and get them extracted. Okay, a sacred trust. Okay, I think I need to connect my phone. Just a moment. Okay, yeah, awesome. So we have that as that. Now we have the economic activity. Now, economic activity here, relative peace and security also stimulated, all right, economic activities. All right, the fact that we have new people coming into the society, we have them coming into the society. All right, it also kind of, even though it was detrimental to Africans, all right, but the fact that there was still exchange, all right, there was still exchange, and it really helped the economic activities. All right, so now let's quickly talk about the challenges posed. All right, the challenges posed by colonialism on African politics. Now we have the absence of effective political institution is a major problem in Africa. All right, the lack of institutionalism. Let's see the problems, challenges now. We have lack of institutionalism. All right, now these were the challenges. All right, challenges, the lack of institutionalism, which is the what? The absence of effective political institution, and that happens to be the major problem. Absence of what? Effective. Absence of effective this institutionalization is more of unism. All right, this institutionalization is more of everybody mouths becoming one. All right, when we agree upon something, it's not based on the selfish aim, all right, or personal gain of an individual, but for the country or for the state at large. All right, and as a result of this intrusion of the colonial masters, it posed the challenge of institutionalism, which is the absence of what? Effective, all right, political institution. All right, political institutions were not effective because of there was lack of institutionalism, lack of cooperation. Now, this has in turn contributed to the inability of most African states to establish and sustain political order. All right, I don't want to use this space. I want to use this for another one. But lack of institutionalism is the major problem of our politics. That's a major problem of African politics. And this lack of institutionalism has also in turn contributed to the inability, all right, of most African states, all right, inability of most African states to establish and sustain political order. Excuse me, most African states. To establish is not the problem, but to sustain. To establish and sustain. All right, sustaining is the problem. Political order. POL order. Okay, that's number one challenge. Now, number two, tribalism and ethnicism. Tribalism. Okay, tribalism slash ethnicity. This one is not even. This one is not news to us. Even here in Nigeria, we all know what is going on with this tribalism. All right, everywhere, tribalism. You want to be employed, tribalism. You want to get an admission, tribalism. Who is your father? Where did your father come from? I mean, tribalism. You're having a conversation. They want to know where you are from. Why? What is the needs? Does where I'm from determines who I am? Tribalism. All right? It's my brother. It's my brother. Tribalism. What are we talking about? Now, tribalism is one of the dangerous legacy of colonial rule. Let me write it another shade of marker. All right, dangerous this marker, this my still wet. All right, dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Dangerous legacy of colonial rule. Tribalism, one of the most dangerous, right? One of the dangerous legacies of colonial rule. Tribes had existed before colonial rule. Before the intrusion of colonial rule, tribe has existed. But the arbitrary manner, the partition of African was delineated, complicated tribal relation. All right, all this is that, after the intrusion of African or intrusion of the colonial rule, all right, it it's really what? Um, it's really escalated. All right, really escalated. Okay, so and one thing is that if this actually is not resolved, it will keep eating deep down into the politics of many African countries and makes it more difficult and challenging to resolve, to get a headway. All right, tribalism, dangerous too. Now let's continue. We have double allegiance. Okay, number three, we have double allegiance. Now the other negative implication of ethnicity in African politics is that it has made the task of nation building difficult. Hmm. Double allegiance, nation building difficult. It is very true. You can't serve two masters at the same time. It's not possible. You cannot serve two masters at the same time. All right. If your allegiance is not focused, all right, how can you say you will focus on building one nation? It is difficult. All right. And this is as a result of ethnicity. All right. Ethnicity, tribalism. All right. It makes people want to be very particular. And that's why you see people, all right, a particular person gets to a seat of authority whereby he has to put everybody in general in mind. The person will be very, very particular about his tribe, particular about his people. All right, and it was not just his people who got him to that position of authority. All right, so it becomes very difficult. Nation building becomes very difficult as a result of this ethnicity. Okay, now we also have, there were some colonial policies promoted, all right, and these promoted colonial policies were in the view that African belonged to a tribe just as every European belongs to a nation. All right, Miss Sarah, good afternoon. It's great to have you on the stream, although you came very late, Miss Sarah, and I did not see you in the last class, which we did yesterday, which I give an assignment. So now, we also have crisis moderation. Okay, from the word crisis, conflicts, moderation, when you reduce, all right, when you reduce crisis, when you reduce conflicts, all right. Now, but let's look at what the material said. Now, the material says that Darwin's placed African at the bottom of the evolutionary ladder. All right, evolutionary ladder, according to who? Darwin's. All right, placed African, or we can say Darwinism. Okay, Darwinism, or we can use Darwin's, just a moment, placed Africa at the bottom. All right, all right, Darwinism or Darwin's, as the case may be, all right, Darwinism is a theory, Darwin's is the person, all right, and it placed Africa at the bottom of evolutionary ladder. All right. Okay. Placed Africa at the bottom of the evolutionary ladder, at the bottom of the evolutionary ladder. All right. When we say evolutionary, the process at which something changes, the process of change, transformation, evolvement, evolution. When we say evolution, the process of change, transformation, or evolvement. All right. Now, Darwinism, which is the theory of Darwin's, which is the individual, placed African at the bottom of the evolutionary ladder. All right. Now, because most African states are in a hurry to modernize, to escape from the trap created by their past. Now, a gap inevitably developed between the limited capacity of institutions and the expanded level of mobilization. That's a lot. And you wouldn't blame anybody for that, you know. Now, Africans, when you worry, what? African states were in a hurry to what? Modernize, to get out of the trap created by their past, by the colonial masters. All right. And unfortunately, because they were hurrying, all right, because they had not taken out time to accept who they were at that point and re-strategize, okay, for a better future. But they were particular, they were rushing, they want to escape from the trap created by the past. And unconsciously, there was a gap created between what? The capacity that was limited. Now, this limited capacity made them run, all right, made them run after getting resources that originally they would not have access to. So now, getting this capacity, all right, is now used as a bait to enslave, to indirectly enslave Africans. Now, it says here, limited capacity of institutions and the expanded level of political mobilization. So, that's what Darwin says. That's why he placed African at the bottom of the evolutionary ladder, according to his theory. All right, we also have weak political authority. Now, politics in Africa are not supported by values that strengthen a representative government. All right. By values that what? Strengthens, that what? Values that strengthens a representative government. Politics in Africa are not supported by value that strengthen a representative government. This is as a result of weak political authority. all right, weak political authority. Okay. So we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Now, all these were the challenges as we have made mention of. All right. Now, characters of primordial politics in African ethnic group. Primordial, like ancient. All right. So primordial, talking about ancient. Now, characters of primordial politics in Africa, ethnic politics, all right? Characters, we're talking about the characteristics of primordial African politics. Characteristics of primordial ancient African politics. Now, ethnic or tribal politics is one of the most disturbing social crises in Africa. Let's get that straight. All right, one of the most disturbing social crises in Africa the most disturbing, or let me say one of the most disturbing social crisis crisis in Africa is what we refer to as ethnic ethnic or tribal politics. That's one of the most disturbing social crises in Africa. Ethnic or tribal politics. All right. Now, depending on the concept used, whether ethnicity or tribalism, it means a general feeling of what? Allegiance, attachment, loyalty to one's primordial group, all right, at the expense of other. And that is the source of the problem. That is the problem. The point, the nail has just been hit on the head. That is the source of the problem. When an individual at the aim of affairs, when an individual in the position of authority, all right, instead of thinking of the benefit or what will benefit everyone at large, rather is being sentimental, all right, is being what? Tribalistic, all right, is kind of attached to his own primordial group, all right, allegiance, feeling of what? Attachment, allegiance, feeling of attachment, or loyalty to one's, all right, to one's primordial, your ancestral primordial. Who does that? All right, your decision will be corroded. Certainly, your decisions will be corroded. You can't make the right decision. That's how it is. Now, in most states, electoral constituencies were drawn to coincide with ethnic tribal boundaries. All right, that is certain. Now, according to ethnic groups, Now, accordingly, ethnic group became the power base of political and political parties. All right, ethnicity, it became the power base, all right, of politicians and political parties. Eventually, ethnicity became the what? Ethnicity became the power base of politicians. Power base of politicians and political parties. And political power base of politicians and political parties. All right. Now, with that being said, let's quickly rush through what we have here on meaning and nature of colonialism. All right, let's quickly rush through this meaning and nature of colonialism. Now let's talk about, okay, we are actually gone far. Okay, now in our next class we'll take it from here. Let me just highlight, because just highlight. Next class we'll take it from here. Next class we'll take it from here. Take it from, in our next class we'll cover a lot of ground. We have to go faster. Next class. Okay, so on this note, call it a wrap. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've been able to gain a thing or two, and I look forward to seeing you in subsequent tutorials. Bye bye.